That's it. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Chris.
And I'm Mike.
This is Bourbon, Beats, and Brews, the podcast for the enlightened drinker. And today, as you can see on the table, it is Nut Brown Day. It's my favorite day. Now, 3 of these beers I have tasted, 1 I have not. This one here in the middle is a hometown. It's made up in, so the brewery is in Tlaquepaque by Sedona.
Yep. It actually says Sedona on the bottle.
Does it?
It does.
Okay. Well, the actual brewery is in Tlaquepaque. Second floor towards the east. I know exactly where it is.
And for those of you who have never been to Sedona, Arizona, it is gorgeous.
It is gorgeous.
It doesn't get as hot as the Phoenix area, so you can go in the summertime and still have a good time with it only being maybe 100.
And now the leaves are changing. Actually going up there tomorrow, I think, to Prescott, but, same kind of vibe. And also we're going to get into female-fronted metal bands.
I'm excited for this one.
Some metal. Very interested to see Mike's knowledge of this. See
It's
if he
minimal.
knows.
Minimal at best.
Probably the stuff that I've shown you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I don't like it, though.
No.
And I wish we could play play music on this podcast.
We will eventually. You just got to pay for it. You got to pay those musicians. Like these bands don't make enough money anyway. They need my $5.
Well, we'll get there.
You'll get there. I will support music. I'll support music all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we? Oh, you got the Abita open.
Yeah, so we're going to start out with the Abita. Abita is from Louisiana. This is a pecan ale. It's a brown ale. I brought some things for show and tell for you today in addition to this pecan ale.
I know. Very
So we
exciting.
got 2 things on the table here. These, similar to our last podcast about beer, these are
Are they still pellet hops?
These are still pellet hops. These are called Fuggle hops. They are...
That's a cuss word in some languages.
Probably. These are a English hop. They are traditionally a bittering hop. You're going to get earthy, grassy, vegetal notes out of these.
Vegetal?
Vegetal.
Like veggies?
Yeah.
I don't want to drink this then. I don't do veggies.
Some woodsy notes in there. This is, I think I've seen people use them in finishing, but it's not a flavor I would typically try to bring out as a finishing hop. Most people use these as a bittering hop, and the style that you would see this in is more often going to be a brown ale, maybe some English pale ales.
They smell like an IPA.
Yeah, give those a quick go there.
Yeah,
they're not gonna have that pine or that citrus note. It's really gonna be
it's hop.
It's hop. Yeah,
it tastes
woodsy, like woodsy and grassy.
Grassy is more not necessarily woodsy for me, but grassy. But you smell like a typical West Coast IPA. That's the smell right there.
Yeah,
it's not a bad smell.
No,
I'm not an IPA fan. But it's not a bad smell. Kind of looks like rabbit shit too.
It does kind of look like rabbit shit, yeah. But these are used in a lot of beers. These are a kind of a.
Are they used in like nut browns almost specifically, or do you just tend to find them more in nut browns?
You're going to tend to find them more in nut browns. There's another hop similar to this called an East Kent Golding hop.
That's a name.
Yeah, it's very similar. They're traditional British bittering hops.
Damn British.
Yeah.
They're always bitter.
Second thing I brought for you today.
Grain.
These are actually grains. This is biscuit malt.
Biscuit malt.
Yes. So this is a specialty grain. Most beers are made out of 2-row or Pilsner malt, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is, you're not going to put a ton of this into a beer. Maybe 5-10% of your grain bill would be something like this. But you can give it a nose. You can actually eat it if you want to.
I will.
Yeah. It's
I just
kind-
roasted some pumpkin seeds tonight, so this will probably be a better taste.
you're gonna. It's aptly named, like it's flavored. Biscuit malt. It's got typically biscuity like flavors. Not all malts are kind of named correctly, but this one is.
Yeah, it's not off-putting. I mean, it tastes like a grain. Hey, try this grain. This is exactly what it would be. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just
So it's roasted. That
Actually
gives
good.
it
I'm
kind
not
of
sure
that.
somewhere.
Yeah, it gives it kind of that biscuity flavor. Some people have referred to it as saltine-like flavor.
No,
You know-
not close. Not even close to a saltine.
Well,
Maybe an
you're eating
unsalted saltine.
you're eating the base grain, right? So
True.
this is when you it brings like a saltine-ish flavor to a beer, unsalted saltine, right?
Yeah, unsalted saltine. Yeah.
Um,
We need to make that extremely clear.
Other people have called it bready, the flavors that it's going to impart into a beer.
I can taste that.
But yeah, these are specialty grains. These are what they look like. Normally they get crushed. These are uncrushed, but normally you put them through a mill, crushes them, kind of opens them up. They release their sugars better.
They release their fruit into the wild.
Yeah. So this is a pecan ale from Abita, which is in Louisiana. It says "Go Nuts," Geaux, go in true Louisiana style.
Is that a Creole thing?
Go?
Go the
Yeah.
way it's spelled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's
Is it French?
either or.
Either
Yeah.
or. Well, Creole is completely different than French.
Yes.
Yeah.
But has a lot of French roots to it.
True, extremely. But don't tell that to them because they get pissed.
I've only ever been to Louisiana. I've been twice. One time I went to Baton Rouge. It was with my dad, and I was a youngster.
That's a cool little town. I like Baton
Yeah.
Rouge.
Had some onion rings that blew my doors off with the spice level. I was not expecting spicy onion rings.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like the seafood in New Orleans. So good.
They have a great penchant for spicing their foods, but not in a way that's blows your palate out.
No, it's good. There's I can't remember the place, but I could take you there if I was in New Orleans. They did it was like $30. It was a full bucket of seafood. It was a whole lobster. It was scallops in the shell, shrimp. It was just delicious, steamed. It was just like this little shit bar, down by the water. But every time I've been to New Orleans like 5 times, and every time I go to that place. It's like, where does it? Don't worry. Yeah, it might look sketch. You might get tetanus on the way out, but you're gonna have good lobster and you're gonna have good food.
That's what you're there for, right? Frenchman Quarter, that's where you musicians go, right? Not Bourbon Street, right? You go to Frenchman Quarter.
French Quarter.
French Quarter.
Yeah, the French Quarter. It doesn't. That includes bourbon.
Or is it Frenchman Street?
There is a Frenchman Street. There's a Bourbon Street. There's St. Peter's Street. There's a bunch of streets, but the French Quarter is a certain area.
Maybe it's Frenchman Street that everybody says you go to for the music.
And New Orleans got all music everywhere, all the time. Their funerals are happy. That's the thing. So when the Saints come marching in, don't ever request that song when you're in New Orleans. You will get stabbed. They do not like that song. But the funeral processions, because New Orleans is kind of like they're below sea level, so their cemeteries are actually above ground. For that reason, you can't really bury them in the ground. It's all marsh and they'll just float away or rot. They have family plots, huge family plots, but the funeral processions, they're sad. We get a bunch of musicians. They play like this all sad song, and then they bury the person. And they're happy because the life, now they're celebrating the life. They're in their place, they're in the final residence place, they're in heaven, whatever they believe. There's a lot of voodoo in New Orleans, so whatever that place is, but they play happy music. It's so fun to watch. I know this is weird to say, but it's fun to watch a New Orleans funeral.
There's a lot of cool things in New Orleans.
It is. And if you ever get a chance, go to Preservation Hall. just a bunch of old black dudes playing a bunch of old jazz standards. It's freaking amazing. There's no air conditioning. You sit on the floor. It's exactly how it should be.
I'll give it a go. I'm into
I love it.
Yeah. So on the tasting note on that, I'm not getting a lot of nut on this.
So I'm not a big fan of pecan.
Yeah.
Like pecan pie, just the regular taste of pecan. I can't taste it for shit in here.
It just tastes like an ale.
It just tastes like an ale. I can't. It's not very nutty.
It's not very malty.
It's not very malty. It's just. It's not bad.
No,
it's not like. But I can't. I mean, when you can see this right here, it says pecan ale. You would expect that you would take a lot of pecan on the tasting.
The trouble with putting nuts in beer is they're very oily.
So does the oil like kind of screw up the taste?
Well, if you notice, this is very unheady beer.
Yeah, that's true.
The oil tends to kill the head. And obviously nobody wants to drink an oily beer. It's just not a very appealing taste.
No. We all want head.
Oh man.
Oh, we're grown children and we know it. Okay, so we have to have this one last. Because I want to compare all of them to this one. Now I've had the Rogue. Rogue is out of Oregon.
Yes.
This has been on tap at a few places, and it is delicious, but it is extremely different from the Oak Creek. Now the one on the end I have never had, so I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, AleSmith is San Diego.
Oh, okay. Belching Beaver, one of my favorite places in San Diego.
I've never had the AleSmith either.
Oh.
I've had AleSmith beers before, but I've never had this nut brown from AleSmith before.
Nice.
So it'll be a good tasting experience for us both. And this is gonna show you the variety within the style.
Yeah, this being a
brown. It is a nut brown,
but it's not.
It's not.
It's
in
not
the
nutty.
Traditional sense.
It's not really. Looks more like an amber to me.
It's more of a nut amber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of color, but yeah, we'll get the full gambit here.
Yeah, this pecan I was expecting a little bit more out of. Just being honest, it does say it's an ale with roasted Louisiana pecans, so maybe I missed the mark on that. But
Abita is a good brand.
Yeah. I've had great Abita beers before.
The Amber is one of my favorites. They have a Mardi Gras Bock, which is also very good, but it's seasonal. There used to be a place up at Desert Ridge up on High Street. He's called the Growler. You've probably never been there. They had probably 30 taps, mostly local stuff, but they would bring in weird stuff from the outside. It's the first time I ever had a Beta Bock was at that place. So good. But unfortunately with COVID, they went out of business.
Yeah.
And it was one of my favorite. They had decent food, and they had great tater tots.
There was this bar in Denver. It's called Falling Rock. I don't remember how long it was there. It was there forever. But they always had Pliny. Have you ever had Pliny the Elder?
No. It sounds like a dude.
It's a beer. I'm
not going to lie. That sounds like a Lord of the Rings character.
It does sound like a Lord of the Rings character. But it's an IPA, like the IPA.
That's not my language. Is it like one of the original IPAs?
Yeah, it's like it was so sought after. So sought after. People used to stand in line for hours on end to get their hands on this stuff. I mean, it is a really good IPA, but Falling Rock was this amazing beer. It was right by the Coors Field Stadium. And it was such a Denver staple, and they went out of business, and in the pandemic or after the pandemic, and it just makes me so sad because some of these places were so cool, like this one you were talking about.
Well, that the one from here that just won the gold medal in Denver at the the Great Beer
GABF.
Fest. Yeah. And then they win the gold medal and they come back and they have to shut down.
Some of that is business just in general, right? You got to have a good location. You got to have all the
of course,
you can have great product.
There's a bunch of factors that factor in, but how shitty is it to go to like the premier beer festival in the country, win the gold medal in the whatever category they won? I think it was, I want to say it was for a sour. I think I might be wrong, but whatever they won the gold medal in, and then you come back and you have to face the reality that you will never make that beer again. You will never be able to participate in this, that venture again. You have to shut down. Essentially, I would imagine their dream.
Yeah.
You reach the pinnacle. You make a beer that wins a medal, and then you have to come back home and shut it down.
Yeah. I will tell you that a lot of brewers are really good at brewing beer and really bad at running businesses.
Because they brew beer. They don't know my business.
And it's really sad because especially here in Phoenix, this isn't Denver here in Phoenix.
No.
We have some good breweries, but we don't have a lot of them.
I just found that Augie's I told you about. They've had medals since 1999, like since I was in high school.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know the place existed until 2 days ago.
It was a pizza place.
Me too.
It is. I mean, it is.
No, it is a pizza place. They have amazing food.
Yeah,
amazing food. But then my wife is like, "Oh, let's go to lunch on Friday. Let's do something different. Let's do this. It's like pizza, brew house, sports bar, or whatever." When I hear brew house, I'm like, okay, cool. They have like the Yard House.
You're thinking like
taps.
BJ's or something.
Yeah.
Oh, well, actually, BJ's makes their own beer, so that
right. But when I see brew house, it's like the Yard House. Like they have like 30 taps. Whatever.
You're thinking of a tap house, not a brew house.
Correct. Yeah. That is true. But get there and it's like, wait, y'all make their own beer? And then I started looking at their medal list. I'm like, 1999. You guys won a gold medal in Denver. What the heck? Great beer. Yeah. I had a blood orange IPA, which was life-changing. Their Scottish ale, also amazing.
That's a good style of beer.
Scottish ale?
Yeah.
Some of my favorites.
You do?
Oh, I love Scottish ale. Yeah, that dark, malty, caramely Scottish red amber, that genre is my favorite.
It's a great style of beer. They from my understanding, I haven't made a lot of them. I think I made one. But the style...
That's not a twist. Here you
go. The style... I think that they put the malt directly over the heat source. So instead of it being like raised off, the bottom of the malt gets like caramelized from the heat underneath. So it adds like an extra layer of flavor to the beer. That's why they're really roasty.
I've never had a bad Scottish ale. It doesn't matter where I've gotten it from. I've never had a bad one.
I mean, here in Phoenix, we have Kilt Lifter.
That is not a Scottish ale.
It's not.
And I get pissed off. Now, Santan, I applaud those gentlemen. They made a beer. They made it popular in Arizona. They got bought out by Anheuser-Busch or InBev or whatever it is now for $400 million. They still oversee the product. I am not upset about that at all. What I do get upset about is when I go to a bar. Hey, and a new bar, never been there before. Hey, y'all got like an amber or like a red or something like that? Oh, we got Kilt Lifter. Stop. I didn't ask for that. I asked for an amber or a red. Kilt Lifter is neither. It's not even a Scottish ale.
It is.
It's the Arizona equivalent of a Scottish ale, which is nowhere near a Scottish ale.
By technicality, it's a Scottish ale. But I can understand your disdain.
Well, Scott, put that aside. But when I ask for an amber and somebody offers me Kilt Lifter,
it's not an amber.
We
just don't have the
learn your product, man.
We just don't have the variety here.
No, but we do. Those niche places, like where I have my 40th front porch. There's Lake Pleasant Brewing. There's Throne. There's PAB. For those who know where those places are, you know that they have good beer. They know what they're good at.
State 48, I guess.
State 48. That's more of a generic place. They're Blango, so they have a blueberry and a mango wheat, and they combine it together. Really tasty.
Blango, huh?
Yeah, Blango. It's kind of like an off-menu thing.
It's two beers mixed.
It is two beers mixed together. It's their blueberry ale and then their mango wheat. Blango. Do it. It's really good. But you won't find it on the menu. But, I mean, 48, yeah, there's like 5 or 6 places. But I'm talking about like Throne. There's one of those.
And they don't really, when you go to other restaurants, you don't see these craft beers distributing to these restaurants.
No, not at all.
I can't go to, the Mexican restaurant down the street and get a Peoria Artisan beer. The only place you can get Peoria Artisan beer is at Peoria Artisan. Whereas, like in Denver, you go to a burger joint and they got 8 different taps with 8 different breweries there.
So, Black Angus Steakhouse. They have
Black Angus, the salad bar steakhouse place.
I don't know. They have a salad bar.
Maybe.
I don't know, but they have a house. They have a house beer. It's called like the Bullseye Red. Okay. It's Lumberjack from Flagstaff. It's their red. They just
rebrand it.
Rebrand it, and I read. I was like, oh, cool. Let me try it. It's your proprietary red. Let me try it. Oh, this is delicious.
It's like Kirkland. It's like the Kirkland brand.
It kind of felt like that. I'm like, this is really good. Who makes this for you? I call one of the managers over. Oh yeah, it's just Lumberjack. Like you can get the Lumberjack Red Ale at like anywhere. I'm like, you just like killed my dream, man. Like I understand that, it was just kind of
you were having a moment.
I was having a moment, and now I'm like, wait, I can just go to like any place and buy this.
Oh, it's rough.
Yeah, it kind of sucked. All right, hazelnut.
Yes, so this is from Rogue.
This is from Oregon. This used to be on tap at Dirks Bentley Whiskey Row down in Gilbert.
This is Newport, Oregon, right?
Newport, yeah, I think so, Newport.
Yeah.
I used to have a fight with the manager every time because I would get free domestic beers. I'm like, bitch, this is made in Oregon.
Domestic.
That is domestic. Yeah, domestic means
craft. It's domestic craft.
What's the first word?
Domestic.
Exactly. This is a great beer.
Yes. When we were talking about the nut brown style, this one definitely came to mind. Hazelnut
brown.
Yeah, hazelnut brown.
So it is lighter.
The interesting thing about working with nuts in beers, right?
Hey.
is you had... So I've worked with a bunch of different varieties of nuts, right? I've put toasted almonds in beers.
Mm-hmm.
Toasting them generally works the best because it takes some of that oil off of it.
Yeah.
And you really just kind of end up with the nut flavor.
Yeah, this one still doesn't have much head, does it?
No.
Yeah.
Because the nuts really do drown out the head.
The nuts have oil.
Yeah. But the way to get hazelnut into a beer, the best way I have found, is extract. Because you can still brew a full-bodied beer with a great head, and you can have the nut flavor, and you just use extract.
Do you know if this is extract?
I have no idea.
I would imagine...
It's got to be.
Knowing Rogue, I would say that it wouldn't be.
I mean, it's possible.
It's possible. And our neighbor Josh, I know he uses extract, and I've had his nut brown.
Yeah.
Delicious. But there is something in the tasting notes once you've had like kind of that...
Balancing it is hard.
Yeah, it is. And you can tell after a while, once you've had the extract beers with the naturals going back and forth, you can tell what's extract and what's not.
So when Josh uses extract, Josh isn't using extract in the terms of like a flavored extract. Josh uses malt extract.
Oh, that's different?
Yeah, so essentially what malt extract is they do the extracting of the grains process, and then they condense that down into like this super sticky syrup. It's like corn syrup, but it's malt syrup, right?
Okay.
So instead of putting grains in his beer, he's taking malt extract and putting it in water and creating a sugar content in that water.
Oh, okay. That's completely different.
Yeah. He's not putting flavoring extract in his beer.
Yeah. Okay.
Different. Completely different.
Completely different.
You can tell when a beer is made with extract. It's if you have a sophisticated enough palate.
Sophisticated palate, yeah.
The thing that you can do with extract beers, extract brewing is kind of what people start doing when they learn how to start brewing beer.
Which makes sense because the flavor is there. You know what you're going to get.
Yeah. And it's easy. It's really easy. You can get, like, have you ever seen those brew kits? People give them out as like Christmas gifts and stuff. Like
I got one. I never actually used it, but yeah.
But the first beer I ever brewed was one of those kits, and I liked it and I had a good time with it, and I wanted to learn more, and I learned more. And for my first 15, 20 beers, I brewed with an extract kit, and it's really simple. You can brew on your stove. You just basically need a big enough pot, 3 to 5 gallon pot, that you can boil 3 gallons of water. You squeeze the extract out of the bag into the water, turns it into a wort. Add some hops in there. The thing you can add to it,
beer.
Yeah, and bam, you've got beer. You know, you gotta ferment it in they give you the big white barrel with it. But the thing you can start doing is what I started doing was adding specialty grains to my extract. So instead of just an extract beer, flavor. Yeah, I'm like adding biscuit malt into my extract, so it extracts some of that biscuit malt flavor. And that's kind of how you start making more complex beers with your extract. And then from there, you can just kind of switch to an all grain style. All grain's a lot more difficult, but not that much more difficult. Once you have the basics down, you can all grain brew.
Learning process. You start with the easy, then you go,
It's like playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, right? And then it's like piano, right? You learn how to play dun, 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 and then you can't just sit down at a piano and play Mozart, right?
No.
You got to build up.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is a masterpiece, right? It's a great beer.
This is so good. Like I said, this was on tap at a place I played, Durst Gilbert, and I always had fights with the manager about it's domestic. Well, yes, this is domestic.
It's hard.
That's my argument most of the time. It's like, well, you get free beer. Okay, cool. What do I get? Well, you get domestic. Well,
Coors Light, Bud Light, or do I get domestic? Do I get made in America, or do I get Coors Light?
So it's Coors Light, Buzz. Full disclosure, I had a few beers before I showed up tonight. So it's Coors Light, Bud Light, Miller Light.
Out of all of those, I would go with the Miller.
Okay,
they're all the same beer though.
I don't like Miller. It's
a little hoppier. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is either, but the Miller Light, I just if it's gonna be something, it's gonna be Coors Light for me.
Light beer, Coors Light. And actually, to be honest, if they have full Coors, the banquet beer,
banquet beer,
banquet beer.
I gotta be in a special mood for the banquet, but Coors Light all day, every day.
I have no problem putting away some banquets.
No,
if I'm in the right mood. It makes. Have you ever seen the Karate Kid, but like the series on Netflix?
No, I've never watched that.
Oh,
Cobra Kai.
Yeah, Cobra Kai.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny, you remember Johnny?
Of course.
Yeah. So he's in there, and he pretty much exclusively drinks Coors and a lot. Yeah, the banquet, but a lot of it. And it's every time I see it, I'm like,
Product placement.
yeah. Well, you gotta make your money somehow, right?
Of course. Yeah, you need the extra money, of course. But all right, so next,
Pop open that AleSmith. You can get that going.
you sure? You haven't even finished your.
Oh, by the time you get over to my glass, we'll be
That's
ready.
not even. I could drink that entire 12 ounce before you drink that.
You think so?
You're like, challenge accepted. All right. Considering that I just dropped it, I'm gonna wait for a second before I open it.
AleSmith, brewed in San Diego, California. I think it's a 5%, 5 point. It's written on the can somewhere.
Yeah, I was reading something else. Hold on. Yeah, straight 5.
Straight 5.
Yep, English style brown ale. So this is more English style. So I wonder what differentiates American style from English style.
I think these are all English style.
So nut brown is primarily an English style.
It's an English styled beer.
Nut brown is a tribute to one of our favorite English styles, deep mahogany in color with rich notes of biscuit and coca, a creamy mouthfeel.
That's the thing that I will say the thing from the 2 first beers that have not been there is the mouthfeel. They've been, even that last one from Rogue was kind of thin on the mouthfeel.
It is. Well, this is a nut brown. It's heavy. It's nutty. It has the mouthfeel.
Body.
Hazelnut, it's a little lighter. It has the body, but it has a body of a hazelnut, which is completely different than a regular. The pecan, let's not even call that a nut brown. Decent beer. It doesn't belong here.
I'm gonna guess. I've never seen this one. I've never drank this one. I'm gonna guess it's not as opaque and see-through.
No, it says it's very. That's what I was kind of reading. Deep mahogany in color, so it should be pretty dark.
The last 2 have been a lot on the.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's dark.
Yeah. The way you measure a beer's color, it's called the SRM, Standard Reference Method, I think. But it goes from like a 0 to.
There's some good head on that one.
And that is the color I typically associate with a nut brown.
Yes, me too. I'll give a pass for the hazelnut brown because it's extremely good, but it does say hazelnut brown.
Yeah.
It doesn't say nut brown and try to be anything else like that pecan ale over there. That's a good color. That's
a good color. It's a good pour. I think because I got the second pour, I got a little less head than you, but
it's a common problem.
And that's more what I was expecting when we went down the nut brown path. Really rich, right? Really, really biscuity rich. That's a good nut brown. I like that.
Smells good.
Yeah. Not overly nutty, but just enough of the nutty to know that it's there.
It's pretty light.
But it's got a good richness to it.
It has a great richness, great taste, but the taste doesn't really
blow you away.
I was gonna say linger.
Yeah.
I know what I'm getting when I drink this beer.
Yeah, that's the nuttiest of the bunch. Yeah,
that sits on your palate. You know what you're drinking. This is halfway to that.
This is a good balance between the Rogue and that. I would say
it is.
We're somewhere. We actually probably inadvertently went from the lightest to the heaviest.
You're right.
We could have gone in any order, but this was the order we chose, and kind of worked out.
I wanted the pecan, which seemed light, the hazel, which was kind of different, the nut brown to nut brown. You got to end with this one because I know what I'm getting with this one because I wanted to compare all 3 to what I know I'm going to get.
There's a brew store in Castle Rock, Colorado, which is where I used to get all my homebrew stuff. Can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but they have a brewery next door that's owned by the same people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome because you go into the brew store, and sometimes the brewers would be working in the brew store, and you could ask them questions, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's no better source of information than somebody
And
who
the
does
people
it
that make the beer
every day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But they made a hazelnut peanut butter porter, and it was, when I say phenomenal, it's not doing it justice. It was so good.
I've had peanut butter porters.
Yeah, hazelnut peanut butter porter.
I've never had a hazelnut. That's literally the only beer the only hazelnut beer I've ever really had. And that sounds like a phenomenal combination. Because I know a peanut butter porter, there's one here. It's that dog. What is that?
Oh, yeah.
It's a black and red can.
I can see
Ben's.
the can.
Isn't it Uncle Ben's? Or like Ben's or something?
Sounds right.
Their peanut butter porter is really good. And I can only imagine sprinkling some hazelnut on top of that.
Really good.
Oh, that'd be ridiculously
It's
good.
really good. They balance each other really well, right? The peanut butter. And
I could see that, yeah. The peanut butter porter is good in and of itself because of the dark chocolatey with the peanut butter. It's a great combination.
Sprinkle a little hazelnut in there. Takes it to the next level, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, peanut butter and chocolate, it's just a classic pairing. You can see those, those high barrel aged stouts, the peanut butter cup stouts. I don't know if you've ever had one of those.
Peanut butter cup stouts. No, I've had peanut butter porters. I have not had peanut butter stouts.
Okay, so at some point we'll do a podcast with some big barrel aged stouts. Big. I'm talking 14+%. Maybe there's one from Epic that's a peanut butter cup stout.
That sounds delicious.
It lives up to the billing is all I can really say. When you're dealing with big beers, right? You're expecting big flavor.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Because if I'm drinking 15%, I need flavor to go with it because otherwise it just tastes like alcohol.
Right.
And it delivers. It tastes like you're drinking a peanut butter cup in the best possible way.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It mixes in a little bit of barrel age to it too. So you get a little bit of those bourbon notes with it. It's really good. It's really good.
We'll do a whole podcast on that.
Yeah. They have a whole bunch. So they've got a birthday cake one. They've got like a raspberry porter or raspberry Big Baptist. They've got a whole lineup of them, but Epic knows how to do their big beers. I think they have a location in Salt Lake and one in Denver. And their one in Denver was a super cool brewery location.
It took me forever to find a brewery in Salt Lake.
So Utah's an interesting animal.
I went for a Mormon wedding in Utah. Not in Salt Lake. It was in Provo.
Provo?
Yeah.
The home of...
Yeah, the home of BYU and all those wonderful Mormon people.
But I'll tell you, salt of the earth people, man. My neighbor across the street.
Oh, yeah, he's
great person.
Never met him, but I've heard stories. Yeah, good.
But in terms of beer, probably not the people that you're gonna look to for beer advice.
No, drinking advice in general,
in any capacity, for the most part. So, the Utah, interestingly, has a law where you can't have anything on draft that's over. I want to say 5%.
No, you're absolutely right. And I found. So we the wedding was in Provo, so we flew into Salt Lake, drove down to Provo, and brought the kids with me. It was a family thing, and I don't really get along with this side of the family. Some of them I do, the majority of them I don't. Mormons and me don't mix, but my wife, we were like, oh, it's fine, do like a Sunday brewery thing.
Oh yeah, nope. Sunday is a no-go.
I found one. It was
open on a Sunday?
I did. It's about 20 minutes south of Provo. Good beer. But yeah, the whole draft thing. I had to have
Cans. You got to
cans.
order cans.
Cans or bottles.
Yeah.
That's a weird law.
I don't understand it. Like, we will let you drink it, but it has to be in a can.
Yeah. Or it has
For
to be
what?
sub 5% to be on draft.
For what reason? I
I'm
don't
like-
get it.
I'm like, Coors is like 4.6. Are you telling me that's the only beer that I can drink?
Makes you wonder if there was some lobbying going on by the big beer.
I would imagine, maybe.
Yeah?
Utah, in and
Big
of
beer.
itself.
I just said big beer. Like
You
it's
did.
a thing.
And I just went with it because I knew exactly what you were talking
Yeah.
about.
It's a thing.
I mean, Anheuser-Busch isn't, they're InBev now. So,
Most of those big beer companies have low alcohol beers that even, we talked about Killian's on one of the podcasts, probably the first one. Even that's a low alcohol beer for a red ale. They kind of specialize in the drinkable.
I had family in town. I sent you pictures when I went to the Edelweiss beer garden.
Was that good?
Oh yeah, I've been there before. It's
Food-wise?
Food-wise. So I haven't been to Haas Murphy's in a while. I would say that their food at Edelweiss is more like everyday food, where Haas Murphy's is a little bit more.
It's authentic.
Yeah. Good either way. Good place. But my cousin Karen, she got this can. I can't pronounce the name. It's long and German, but it's a grapefruit-based beer. I don't like grapefruit. Grapefruit-forward beer is disgusting, in my opinion. Grapefruit, not a good fruit. Shouldn't exist. This beer was 3.2% water, essentially. Holy shit. Delicious. So good. Like, summer, so good that, like, I would drink it by the beer in the middle of July here in Phoenix. Like, it was just refreshing beyond belief. Did not taste like grapefruit whatsoever.
So, I used to make this beer. It's super low alcohol. Very similar to the pecan in kind of body and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's based off of a recipe that was brewed in the Middle Ages. And it was given to kids because beer was safe to drink, whereas water wasn't.
Yeah, that's why Europe has the better beer, in my opinion, because they've been doing it for so much longer. Their water is shit.
It was 3.2%, and it's like a brownish, kind of flavorful. But, I mean, you could drink, you and me at our weight, we could drink 30 of them. And
All right,
probably,
I got like 100 pounds on you, okay?
But we could drink 30 of them and probably still walk out of here.
One of the best beers I ever had in my life was in Prague. I will never be able to find this place again, ever. We were just walking around doing the touristy stuff. We went down like an alley. It's around noon, maybe 1 o'clock.
I feel like this is how all good stories start. We were going down an alley.
Yeah. It was like, okay, let's stop for lunch. Cool. Place maybe twice the size of this room.
Oh.
Cool. All right, it wasn't busy. Let's, stop, get a beer, get food or whatever. And I was looking on the menu. It's like, try our house specialty beer. I'm, please.
Love to.
So I order it. The waitress, like, okay, cool, come with me. Okay, what kind of place is this? This is weird. It brings me down some steps. I'm like, okay, should I leave? This is starting to scare me.
It's starting to get weird, right?
I'm in Eastern Europe.
Getting led into a basement. You're
Exactly.
about to lose a kidney.
And she walks me over, and it was a barrel. Took a ladle, put it in the barrel, scooped out beer into a cup, which essentially looked like this one. And she said, okay,
There's your beer.
There's your beer. Darker than Guinness, lighter than the lightest blonde I've ever had. So I come to find out it's a monk recipe from like 342.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a 1,800-year-old beer.
Yeah. And they make it the same way that the monks did. The best beer I've ever had in my life.
You know, those type of beers, back then, right, they didn't have cultivated yeast to put into a beer.
No.
So they just used to brew it, and they would put it in a barrel, and they would leave the top off the barrel, and the natural yeast in the air would ferment the beer.
Yeah.
And when it was ready, they would serve it up, right? So you couldn't, from a consistency standpoint, it's pretty piss poor, right?
Yeah, consistency, yeah.
You can end up with a wild variations in what you get, right? You could get some sour yeast in there. You could get some lacto in there and make it taste really sour.
It was none of that. It was delicious. I will never find that place again, but shit, it was the best beer I've ever had in my life.
Those monks know how to make beer.
Yeah, because they got nothing else to do. They're celibate, but they can make beer. I don't know. Can they drink the beer?
I think they can.
Well, good on them.
Yeah.
I'm going to start drinking this one.
Because if you can't drink those Belgian ales, but you can make them, I feel really bad for you.
Yeah. This one should be twist. And I'm wrong again.
It's just been a whole thing with you today.
Yes, I have been. Yeah, I've just been off in terms of the screwing the beers.
This beer is classically Arizona.
You got the Arizona flag on the top.
It is not as cold as it once was.
But it still tastes good.
The nice thing about nut browns is you can drink them not blazingly cold and they're still good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good. I mean, this AleSmith beer is very good.
It's extremely good. I would highly recommend it. It is a little less flavorful than the one we're about to have, but it is a good, solid nut brown. I feel like you got a lot more than I did. Okay, that was bullshit.
It's not my fault. You poured first.
I did, but I was trying to be equal. Equal opportunity drinker.
Here, bring your cup over. Let's see what we can do here.
That's a professional right there.
Yep, perfect.
Again, the color.
Rich amber,
dark.
Kind of see-through. It's not to a stout
level. I would say
level.
the AleSmith was a little darker.
The AleSmith was. This is still filtered. It looks like, right? Yeah. It's not to like a hazy or a stout where you've got those particulates, floating around, and it's still. But this is a good. This is a good
fucking
number.
Delicious.
Yeah. There's a bar in Prescott, Arizona, where they pour this and the amber together.
Daniel did that.
Yeah.
For I don't know what it was, but that is so good.
It's an interesting combo, and I'm not opposed to it.
No, I love the two beers individually. The amber is my favorite amber. This is my favorite nut brown. And combining them made an amazing combination, and it's extremely hard to explain. It's an amber, it's a nut brown. It's completely.
They're two completely different beers that somehow meld well together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris is in heaven.
Oh,
I was gonna do IPAs.
Heaven.
I was gonna do IPAs because that's.
But see, I'm open. I'm open to IPAs. Yeah. Like I just the Augie's, that blood orange IPA. I could drink that all day. Deschutes right here, Deschutes the full squeeze all day, every day. But for me, it's few and far between. And now I'm coming to realize, with that Augie's place, Ogie's or whatever it's. Oh, I am extremely burpy today. I apologize.
That's what happens when you shoot 2 podcasts back to back.
It's true. I'm learning that I'm more East Coast
IPA?
hazy
Yeah.
IPA than West Coast.
Well, they're different. They're different, right? So
they're extremely different. I mean, in terms of
they're different in so many different ways, though, right? So a West Coast IPA is going to be more like a pale ale. It's not going to have the mouthfeel of a hazy. A hazy's got that pulp almost floating around in it, right?
It's more citrus. It's unfiltered. It's better,
hazy.
In my opinion.
It's hazy by definition.
So the pale ale, what makes it an Indian pale ale?
That's a good question. All right, so I'm going to tell you a story.
Okay.
All right, so when the English used to have to sail to India to get spices, and as you know, England loves their curries and those type of things, right?
And Columbus discovered America, trying to find a way to India.
Yeah.
Killed a bunch of Native Americans, and voila, America. Anyway.
But the...
You held it together for longer than I thought, but please continue.
So the style, right, was... In England, pale ales are the thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But they needed a beer that could stay fresh for the long journey to India. Right? And pale ales wouldn't hold up to the long journey.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't hold up to the ocean conditions, the long journey, the heat, all the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they needed a beer that held up better to the conditions. So what they ended up doing was adding more hops, because hops are a preservative. Hops help preserve the beer.
Oh, okay. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So they add more hops to the pale ale, and you end up with a new beer style. Well, it's designed for the trip to India, so they called it an India Pale Ale.
I was today years old when I figured that out.
Yeah. So
that's awesome. That makes total sense.
And it's basically a beer style which was designed for British sailors to make the journey to India.
So why have they become so exponentially popular within the last 20 or 30 years?
Well, the style in and of itself doesn't lend itself very well to... It's an acquired taste, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's an acquired taste.
Especially if you don't have the palate for hops. It's not something you're just going to dive right into and start exploring.
I 100% agree with that.
So my thoughts are it's a byproduct of a couple different things. Craft beer has become more popular. People have started developing that taste for hops through other types of beer.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so they're starting to explore those IPAs and like those IPAs. So I think that that's a byproduct of it. Now, the hazy IPA is...
That's relatively new, isn't it?
It is relatively new, and I think it took that desire to experiment to a whole nother level because it's not bitter. It's...
No. I've had bitter.
Fruity. Yeah, and you can.
Yeah, I've had bitter hazies, but for the most part, they're very fruity.
Yeah.
They're less hoppy in my experience, and I can tolerate them a hell of a lot more.
Yeah. They have really good mouthfeel to them. They're kind of creamy, and they've got that... It's just a style of beer that lends well to a lot of people's palates, right?
Yeah,
so
it does. Yep, you're right.
And people start going down that path, and then they say, well, now I like hops. Let me try something else. So they're going to the other IPAs and trying other styles of beer, which is great for the beer scene, right? If you name it, there's probably a beer for it.
Yeah. Yep.
And
I've just come to find out that... So there's some IPAs that I do enjoy. The Fresh Squeezed is kind of that halfway between a hazy.
I'm going to get you some
and
Pliny.
What is it?
Pliny.
Pliny?
Pliny the Elder. We talked about it earlier. I'm going to get you some.
I mean, Gandalf is cool. No, I'd like to try.
It's from Russian River Brewing. It's in California.
Russian River Brewing. Hey, your dog just showed up.
Yeah.
We got a fan.
Subscribe.
But since I've gone down the hazy IPA, I have been more open to try the regular IPAs. And my wife being...
Your wife has an IPA palate.
Oh, extremely.
Yeah.
The doubles, the triples, everything. But I try everything that she tries. 75, 80% of the time, I'm like, this is shit. I don't know how you can taste this. But every now and then, that blood orange from Ozzy's.
I've never really met a beer I don't like.
Oh,
I
have.
And I say that with a grain of salt, right? There's a few out there. I named one.
I'm not a gray person. I'm a black and white. I like it. I don't.
I have figured out how to appreciate things for what they are.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
If I know a beer is going to be bitter, right? I'm going to try to appreciate it for being bitter, and appreciate the flavors.
Yeah, that makes sense. But but then you acquire, like my palate is more reds, ambers, nut browns,
malty.
The IPAs, give or take. I like some. I despise most. Hazies, I am very much in favor of hazies. I really am, because they're citrus. They're more palatable.
They are
not necessarily hoppy. It's the hop. It's that hop taste that it leaves in your mouth that I don't like, which most IPAs have. The hazy gets rid of it via the citrus. And that's just my palate. All right, so that beer is gone.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's not, because you haven't drank any.
It's gone.
It's gone. Good job. So talk a little music now.
Metal.
Okay, well, metal rock.
But female
Female-fronted. Metal and rock.
I really wish you could play some of this for me.
I know. I'll do the links. I'll send you some stuff. So off the top of your head, besides the stuff that I've played for you, do you know of any? I mean, just things that you listen to at random or can think of.
I mean, Ginger.
That's one I've played for you.
That is one you've played for me.
And I hope they come back with Disturbed in March.
I really do as well. Just in case you're wondering, I was really looking forward to that show.
Oh, I was so looking forward to that show.
That was going to be a good show.
It's a rare concert I go to where I'm excited to see all the bands.
Yeah, I mean, we were there before the open. I don't ever show up before the first opening act.
No. I wanted to see. So Ginger was the opening band. They're from Ukraine, female fronted. She's a beast. Tatiana just scares the shit out of me.
She sounds like when you played it for me, I was like, that's definitely a dude.
Yeah, but it's not. It's a small chick.
She's tiny.
Yeah, she's tiny, but she can scare the hell out of anybody. And Breaking Benjamin, Disturbed. It was one of those rare bills where I wanted to see everybody. But
alas, was not to be.
It was not to be. Come March.
It'll be better weather.
Oh, it'll be actually nice outside. I hope that everybody comes back, but if I get a 3-hour Disturbed show, I'll still be happy.
I mean, that would be a damn good show.
It would.
Dreamy won't be able to stand up at the end of that, but
it'll be fine.
It'll be high as a kite.
Yeah, probably too.
Yeah.
So that's the only band you could think of, Ginger?
I don't listen to a lot of alt metal off the beaten path.
Okay.
And so I'm going to give you the same answer I give you with beer, right? I will pretty much drink anything. And I have found some things that I really like because of that I never would have tried.
Yeah.
Ever. Without somebody just putting it in front of me and saying, hey, drink this. And to that effect, you have put some bands in front of me that I never would have listened to.
That's
true. Electric Callboy is one of them.
You love that band.
I threw Electric Callboy on my Pandora and was like, hey, Let's pound out some Electric Callboy, you know? But
I just got a thing on my phone. They did a cover of a Linkin Park song.
I bet it was amazing.
It was Crawling off the Hybrid Theory record. Nailed it.
Yeah.
Fucking nailed it. It was so good.
I never would have sampled that. I probably never would have found that without you bringing it to me. But because you did, I was able to explore it a little bit more, and I do like it. So, female-fronted metal artists, it's not something I search YouTube for. I'm going to be honest with you. It is something you search YouTube for, so hit me with it.
So my first experience with it, I know you've heard of this band. Evanescence.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that was my first...
I guess that's a female-fronted metal band.
I don't really consider them metal. They're more hard rock. But that was kind of like my first experience. I mean, Amy Lee, just fuck.
She can sing.
She can sing.
She could sing the phone book, and it would sound amazing.
It would sound amazing. So that was like my, like, wow, like, no offense, but oh shit, like women can, like, front rock bands and like sound amazing, and that was in 2001. What the Fallen record, you know, they've been hit or miss ever since. The Open Door record was shit, you know, but everything since
that
then,
song Broken, right?
Yeah, that was with her ex-boyfriend, the lead singer of Seether.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a good song. She does that song a lot of justice. She's an amazing singer.
I think sounded better than he did on that song.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But that was, Evanescence was like my first, okay, so female fronted rock can actually like be a thing, right? So I was living in Tucson, and my buddy Travis, he was like, well, have you heard of this band In This Moment? I'm like, no, I don't even know what that band is. So he put a track on for me. The lead singer's name is Maria Brink. It was Forever. Great song. Very poppy. You know, rock, but more towards the pop genre. And he's like, okay, cool. If you like that, let's put on this song called Prayers. And it is screamo metal. I was like, dude, that's the same chick? Yeah. And like, that is, like, this is the same record. Not just the same chick, the same record.
You don't see that a lot on the same record. Records usually are pretty consistent stylistically.
Now, I mean, I mentioned In This Moment because they were kind of an influence in that genre, the female fronted. They've gone fucking weird. They, like, their shows are more like dramatic and like big theatrical things, dancing and stuff. They haven't had a good record since Big Bad Wolf. I'm just, there's like, oh cool, that one song is good.
But it opened your mind though.
It did. No, they opened my mind completely. And then I made the mistake of going down the YouTube rabbit hole.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So, but
you could spend hours, days, months, years.
Stateside, one of the best female fronted rock bands. You want to call them metal, you want to call them whatever. Hailstorm. Their lead singer is Lizzie Hale. She has the best voice in music.
Okay, so I know nothing about Hailstorm.
Yeah.
Describe the style to me.
It's rock. I mean, it's pretty much
like
straight up rock.
Melodic rock?
Yeah, it can
Not
be.
screamo rock?
No, she doesn't scream. She has a scream, but it's more of that like 80s kind of mid-throat growl where
if you were to describe her in a band, I would know.
That's a hard question. Because I don't know
like,
the bands you know.
Well, are we talking like...
She has a very 80s kind of vibe with her scream, where it's not like deep and growly and demonic, but it's still melodic, but it's still scratchy.
I do tend to go more towards the melodic, honestly.
She's an amazing
Like I'm
singer.
more of a Disturbed rock than a Slipknot rock.
Right. No, I understand that. But with her, she has, and I will never back down, the best voice in music.
Hailstorm.
Hailstorm. Her name is
I'm
Lizzie
gonna
Hale.
listen to it, and I'm gonna report back in the next episode.
She started the band in her teenage years with her brother, RJ, who's the drummer. It's ridiculous, the stuff they'll do. They have a song, Familiar Taste of Poison. It's more melodic, soft. It builds. It's a great song. They have a new song. It's called Terrible Things. It's so relevant to, today's environment. It's a duet with some country singer, and I can't remember her name. But she did a
I
whole...
feel like I've heard this song.
It's a great song. But she did a duet with Eric Church on the ACMs, one of the country awards. That's Damn Rock and Roll, one of Eric Church's songs. Made Eric Church look like a fucking amateur. Her diversity in her voice is just second to none. But we're going to leave the shores now of America. We're going to go where metal and hard rock is more accepted.
Germany.
No, not Germany. Austria.
Oh, so like 4 feet away from Germany.
True. One of my first experiences down that YouTube rabbit hole, a band called Nightwish. They're more symphonic metal. So they have string arrangements over there.
I like
hard
the
rock.
string arrangements in metal. I think
Love
it's
the
awesome.
strings. My friend, my guitar player, Jesse, he calls it dragon riding metal, because it feels like if you get on the back of the dragon and you like ride it, that's kind of like the soundtrack you would be.
It's like smooth but like hard.
Yeah. They've had. So their original singer was Tarja. She's an amazing singer, more operatic than pop. She left, and I got into the band around when Annette Olsen, that Bye Bye Beautiful record. I don't even know when that was. It was probably 2008, 2010, somewhere around there. She was only on for 2 records, but that was more pop oriented than the first. And then now they have a singer called Floor Jensen. She's pretty good. Not my favorite, but she's like 6'2".
You said her name was Floor?
Floor, Floor. Floor Jansen.
Yeah.
But
That's
she's
a fucking rock name.
It is, and she's 6'2". So she's a huge presence on stage. Really, really, really good singer. And they're one of the most influential bands in Europe in terms of that genre, the symphonic metal genre. But we're gonna skip to I think a band I've talked to you about, Baby Metal.
What's it called?
Baby Metal.
No?
They're from Japan. It's K-pop. You know what K-pop is?
Yes.
Meets metal.
K-pop is Korean pop, though.
Correct. Yes.
But
But the only explanation I have is K-pop meets metal.
Okay.
So it's one singer with 2 kind of background singers, the wrong term, but they make like noises and they talk.
Alternative singers.
Sure, that is actually a great way to do it. Extremely popular. Started in 2010, and I mean they sold out O2 Arena like for 2 nights. They're currently on tour now. It's a little smaller. But their combination of K-pop and dancing and stuff like that with metal, like straight up metal, is...
It's an interesting combo.
It's an interesting combo. And ever since I heard them, they have a song called Give Me Chocolate. That was like their like big breakout song. I'm like, what is this shit? Like... Why can't I stop listening to this?
It's like, I don't want to like this, but I do.
Yeah, and they're super, just mega popular all over the world.
Huh.
Another band you got to write down. You got to listen to. Don't worry, I'll send you links.
Yeah. There'll be links in the podcast, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But my favorite female-fronted band, they're Dutch. So they're from Europe. In my opinion, American metal has hit a plateau. There are some bands out there that push the limit. You get the 7, the 8-string guitars, you get the low, you get the chunky, but in terms of like musicality and being melodic, it's kind of plateaued. I find bands every now and then that like, oh shit, I don't know about that. But this band has been around since 1996. They are the most influential. They are symphonic metal. They're called Within Temptation. Within. Their lead singer, Sharon Den Aldo, she is self-taught.
It's impressive.
It's extremely impressive. I know she's married to somebody in the band. I don't know who. They just keep on putting out records that... So they've switched. They're going to put out a new record soon, and it's more politically based. But not that kind of politically based. It's not like in-your-face political. They write songs about figures and things that happen in the world, but it's not like in your face that way. Like they don't name names and stuff like that. But the music is ridiculously good. They've been the same. Well, they did change drummers about 10 years ago. I tried to audition. Didn't happen.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome.
But then we wouldn't be friends.
No, it's true. But I'd be rich.
But we wouldn't be friends.
That's true. That's way more important.
I mean, think about all the things you would have missed out on, right? I am a big believer, and that we can go a little philosophy here.
Philosophizer.
But I'm a big believer that everything in life happens exactly how it's supposed to happen. And I'm not talking about spirituality or anything like that, right? But where I am right now is exactly where I am supposed to be. And I'm in complete control of the things that come next. But what comes next is exactly what's supposed to happen.
I believe that to a point.
But like, you look back, and had you gotten that job, you wouldn't have met Chrissy.
It's true. I wouldn't have my kids.
You wouldn't have your kids.
I would be here. Oh no, there's a bunch of what ifs. Yeah.
And all of those things could have led down entirely different paths, but they didn't.
I could have a huge coke addiction.
Yeah. You could be dead right now because you got this rock band and you drank yourself to death.
That's true.
And maybe that was your path. And if it was, then that was your path, Well,
I am totally satisfied listening to this band for the rest of my life.
I'm going to check this one out too.
Yeah, Within Temptation. So they don't have a new record out yet. They've been kind of on the single thing. That seems to
be the new thing these days, right? Releasing singles
and then doing like an EP of like the 4 or 5 that you release.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the thing.
Is that kind of the way music is going? You're more of the...
Music is going... I don't know where music is going.
I don't think music is... People don't buy records anymore.
No, streaming ruined that.
Yeah.
I remember lining up, at Tower Records.
Yeah. Tower was big.
Yeah. You got the date, Friday. Friday was the release date.
Yeah.
You line up, you get the record. You're like, oh shit, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you get the single 4 months, 3-4 months before the record ever hits.
Yeah.
And then you get 2 or 3 more. And there's
by the time the record hits, you've already heard all the songs that are worth listening to usually.
Pretty much. And then the artist, doesn't make any money off the record because streaming takes away from all of that. You have to do like a couple million streams to make like $1,000 just based on the percentages and things like that. The way artists make money now is touring.
Yeah,
touring and merchandise.
Yeah.
So, I mean, streaming is a good thing, but it's also a really bad thing. Because you could go out, buy a record, hate it. Every single song except that one single that made you buy the record. Okay? Jump on iTunes, Spotify. You can listen to every single song. But you can add the songs to your playlists that you enjoy without ever buying the record. So in terms of accessibility, streaming is a good thing. But in terms of like actually supporting musicians and making them a living, it sucks.
There's also, without getting too political, right? There's also a middleman, an upper middleman, a triple upper middleman in the middle that are taking a lot of the
points. Points and percentages. But the wonderful thing about YouTube, Spotify, the independent artist, like that dude who did the Richmond, north of Richmond.
North of Richmond, yeah.
Who in their right mind would have found that guy?
Nah.
Nobody. He would have been in, some backwards dude that just, made a video for his family, but he put it on YouTube. It blew up. Now he's charging like $25,000, $30,000 a show. And the wonderful thing about him,
he made sure his tickets were affordable.
Yeah, he actually
Super
canceled
cool.
a show because the promoter was like charging way too much. I give him huge props for that. Major respect. But people like that guy, just in general, never heard of him in your life. So the independent artist has a place because you don't need Universal. You don't need all those big labels to distribute your music. You have YouTube.
Yeah.
And you have Spotify. You can get on playlists. I played in a band for a while called The Rev. We get 20,000, 30,000 spins a year. But I don't know, man. Music is it's a fickle thing.
Yeah, it's just like everything else where you've got to adapt, right? I think that the days of signing up with a record label and having that record label represent you and put you, it seems outdated.
It's extremely outdated.
Yeah.
You need a major record label for distributing. That's all you need.
Yeah.
To get to the international markets, things like that. That's all you need.
But you have a lot more leveraging power, and if you just sign away that leveraging power,
yep,
it's kind of on you.
But I have some honorable mentions here too. Got into a new band called Deadlands. They're amazing. They're from New York. They have a song called House of Cards. It's extremely heavy. And a band that I've been into quite a while. They're called Spirit Box. They're a good combination of melodic and heavy. Their lead singer, Courtney, scares me quite a bit.
Some really good names on that list, right?
Yeah. Good metal band names.
Yeah.
But,
so you may be able to answer this question. And there's like this guitar thing that people play this way with like steel things on their hands. Do you know what that's called?
It's either a flat top guitar or just a steel guitar.
They're like sliding and they have like metal things on these fingers that they pick with. It's just a steel guitar?
That is more like a flat top guitar.
Okay.
A steel guitar is...
Yeah, they turn it... It's like turned sideways. I'd never seen it before. It had like a way more twangy sound to it. Yeah,
so most of the time it is made of wood, but the center part where it resonates is actually made of metal. So you get that kind of twangy sound. It's more, like I said, a flat top guitar that is played in the steel style. But a steel guitar is completely different. That's actually a stationary guitar that's completely flat, and it's, I want to say 8 to 10 strings.
Oh.
Where it's got a lot of pedal work and things like that.
Oh, no, this wasn't that.
Yeah, but they get like talked about in the same aspect, and they're completely different.
Huh. I had seen one going down the YouTube rabbit hole.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, I have no idea what that is.
It's most time it's a flat top or steel guitar.
Okay.
But we're out of beer.
We are out of beer, which means it's time to pay the tab.
It's time to pay the tab, go home, head on down the road. And I think next time, what are we going to do next time?
Hazy.
Oh, we're going to do hazy IPAs? We're going to do hazy IPAs. And
music.
For music, I don't know what I'm going to do for music.
Hear me out, all right? Folk.
Folk music?
Yeah.
I can do that Irish folk metal band I found.
Yeah.
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 Okay, I can do folk.
Like not traditional folk, but like let's mix
alternative.
Yeah,
folk.
alternative folk.
Flogging Molly.
Yeah, type of stuff.
Yeah. Dropkick Murphys.
Yeah. Let me listen to some songs before we talk about them so I can be a little more educated.
A little more educated? Well, that's the fun part.
Well, it is the fun part, but you're also talking about things that
You're like,
if we were playing it on the podcast and I could listen
you'd be
to it,
a lot more.
I'd be a lot more educated. But since we can't play it just quite yet, I would like to hear it maybe
cool.
so we could talk about it.
I'll send you the stuff I'm thinking of. And in terms of the bourbon,
that'll probably be 2 episodes from now.
Yeah, maybe we should do. I see Whistle Pig.
Ooh, you want to get a couple different whistles?
I have 2 Whistle Pigs at home.
So I've got the Whistle Pig. That's the 10 rye. 12?
I don't have the 10 rye. I think I have a 10, but it's not the rye.
That's the rye. And we could maybe do that. You have the 10, and we could get a bottle of the 6-year-old. What's it called?
I think I have that one too.
It's like it's not called Whistle Pig. It's called like Piggyback.
Yeah, something like that. I know I have 2 bottles of Whistle Pig. I just don't remember what they are.
Yeah, we'll do the regular, the rye, and the Piggyback, and
we'll do Whistle Pig. That's a good one. I like the Whistle Pig.
If you have never tried Whistle Pig is phenomenal.
It is. But we're going to pay, we're going to leave, and that's it. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining. This is Bourbon Beats and Brews.
Hit us up on the social.
And we'll see ya. Take care.